Okay, so here's the tools that you guys need. I'm gonna break it down to you. Obviously, you have I have my ratchet here with this kit. At least it has it comes with 14 millimeter bolts ends. So I have my ratchet with my 14 millimeter. Then you have this tool here, and this is an actual valve stem remover and installer kit. It has all the pieces inside this kit. I did get it from Harbor Freight, but this is the actual tool that you use to remove those. I've seen people use pliers, needle noses. I've seen a few different things. I've seen spark plug removers that people have used as well, and they seem to all have worked. The one thing I've noticed is that some of these tools they end up using will damage the stems, and not that it matters, especially if you're changing them, which I suggest that you do. These valve stems, they're fairly on the cheaper side in the sense, especially when you're rebuilding your head. So it's something that I just thought I'd invest in a kit because I have to install them as well. And there's ways you can do that. You can use a 10 millimeter socket. That'll push it down on it, just knock it down with a hammer. But this is the actual tool that you would end up using. Obviously, I have my flathead, and you will see what I'll be using that for, as it will be for to remove the keepers. One side will probably be available to pull out with the magnet that you do see here. And then obviously I have my needle noses just for general use when I need to pull the valve spring out so I don't get my hands all dirty. Just makes it easier for you guys to see the actual removal instead of having my hands all in the way. So not so much to keep my hands from getting dirty, but you know what I mean. And then of course you have the actual valve compressor tool here. This one is from VMS Racing that I did purchase. I think it was $35 that I got it for. I've seen them up to 80 bucks, and it seemed to work all the same. Maybe it's just the main company that came out with it first that has it the higher price. I'm not sure, but this is just the first place I seen it. It has I have actually already taken one out just to be sure that everything did work before I made the video. So I actually have the plate here that you will be screwing in. These two holes here are what's going to be used to then screw in to 1 and 2. So these are going to be the bolt holes that you would screw your caps into. Then you actually have the compressor piece here that's slotted open, and this allows you to then stick your tool in there to get your keepers out. And then of course this is the compressor bolt itself. As you can see, it has a rounded edge, and what that does when it does go in, see it has a rounded slot inside as well, and that's where the bolt then actually sits in the middle, so it makes sure that you're sitting right in the middle of this as you're pushing it down, and you're not at any kind of crazy angle or anything like that. And of course this bolt here would go into one side or the other, and the reason that there is two sides is because once you do have this thing mounted, you would mount this tool there, and you can do one compressor spring, and then you can do the other without removing this plate. So it allows you to do two, obviously showing that there's two on one side, and then you can move to the next two and the next two and the next two and so on. So you don't have to take them out. You can do it every other one in this sense. So you can pull two out in one shot. But let me go in and get my camera set back down and get everything set up. And I'm gonna show you how to install this tool and the process to get everything out. Okay, so this is going to be the tool. This is where you would put it in place here. As I said, those two bolt holes there. Sit it down there. Then you of course have both your bolts here. And I suggest when you do put these in to put a little oil on them just to make sure that the bolts are not dry. I mean, it'd probably be fine, but I just like to lubricate everything that I'm screwing into areas that require normally oil on them in the sense. Per se, when you're putting the block back together or the head back together, you like to lubricate everything. So just make sure you just put a little WD-40 or some motor oil or something on here, or lubricating oil. So these here, I generally would say go hand tight, but if you want to take the ratchet to it and just just a little snug, then you can. No requirement, it's just to keep it there. Obviously, you just don't want no play in this at all. So from there, what you would then do is you would then install the actual compressor tool, and what you'll do is you'll just start threading this in. And again, it's at an angle. It's probably hard to tell at the angle, but it is at an angle that it goes down, and you would just continue to screw down, and you can make your adjustments, and then once it hits that spot, it'll be there. Just make sure, and now there's a good snug amount of pressure that's there. So now all you would do take your ratchet and go ahead and clamp down on it and just continue to go down. Down. Down, 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 down. And then what happens is you would then take your magnet and you would be able to pull the keeper out. And you would then take your magnet, like I was saying, and then you would move, and that's where I would have this to swing it around. And there you go. There's one and there's two. And these are your keepers. I just put them to the side. And once you have them to the side, then that's when you'll go and you'll decompress your spring. And again, while you're doing this, try to have it on a flat surface. One thing I did notice as I was doing this is your valves, they end up having to press down on something, which would obviously would normally be the piston that it would press down if you had it at top dead center. So when you have the head off the block, there'll be a little gap here, and that's due to the actual dowel pins that are on the head that sink into the block. So the piston will continue to push itself down, so you may have to push your finger up under the block and push, once you've compressed the spring, to push the valve up, so the keepers can then come loose. At this point, you'll go in and screw it off. You back these two off. Again, like I said, I've already done one, so at this point I've been completed both sides. You would take your tool off. Here's your piece here, and of course, there goes your valve spring and your retainer, and they just come off just like that. And I just put them to the side, put them all together. Like I said, this side here is going to be my exhaust side, and this side over here is going to be my my intake side. My intake springs, they are labeled as with green on it, as the exhaust side is labeled brown on the top of the springs. And of course, another way you know is the on the intake side, the springs are dual valve springs versus the exhaust springs, which is single. So that's one way you will know which side you're working on, from the intake side being dual valve springs. So now that you see that I've removed the valve, springs and the retainers. At this point, you will then get your tool, and then you will pull off the valve stem. Let's get a nice little grip. And just like that, there it is. And that's your valve stem there. Like I said, I've seen people pull these off to where they've came out damaged, and not that I'd even be reusing them anyways. But again, this is just a tool that grips it. It has the threads inside to get a nice good grip on the valve stem seal, and it'll pull it on out without slipping. I think that's where the problem is when it comes to the spark plug remover, because it's just a rubber piece, so it may slip with the oil on it unless you get a good nice tight seal on it. But that's pretty much all you have to do to then remove your valve spring, your retainer, and then your valve stem. And then of course your lost motion assemblies, they just come right out. Use the same tool as it came in handy for both, so it'd be a little oily to get your hands to get around it, especially if you have gloves. But this is the version 1 of the lost motion assemblies, and normally what happens is these are the older style, and normally if you hear a tapping with it, then that's what you end up hearing in your head when you're revving, in a sense. So these they're not bad at all, but the other ones, the newer ones that they're using nowadays, and all the aftermarket companies, they are more just a spring now. So that's how you remove that. Also put those aside. Said I do keep everything tagged and bagged, just in case, for whatever reason. But that was just a quick video to show you how to remove your like I said, your valve springs, your valve springs and retainers, and your valve stems. And from that point, the only thing that's left, generally speaking, would be your valve. And from there, you would just lift your head up, and there's your valve. Oh, it's not bad for an engine. I mean, I expect it to be this for an engine that's almost 30 years old, as this is the stock b16a3 engine that I've had that was in the car. Like I said, I'm going to be replacing this with all Skunk 2 internal parts. So like I said, I just wanted to show you guys the actual procedure. And I feel this is probably the 100% correct and right way, in the sense to remove all your parts. Again, I won't knock you if you can get them out other ways, but I just rather had spent a few dollars just to get the right tools that I'll be able to use anytime I rebuild my head. So until next time, this was just a update to my last vlog. Like I said, a part 2. If there's any questions, comments, anything that you suggest that I do differently or that I did wrong, please don't hesitate to let me know. I take it good or bad, but that's why I like to prepare and make sure that the video is as best as it can be, in the sense of any kind of instructions or how-tos, just so I'm not giving any bad information out. But again, I won't knock you if you have your other ways to do it, as there are other ways. So I will speak with you guys on my next vlog, and the next thing that I end up doing. Thank you.